19 minutes past 8 a.m. and happy Heroes Day once again in case you have just woken up and tuned in to Morning at NTV. Now, of course, we've been asking for reactions from you in regards to celebrating Heroes Day and what you think is important to you. We do have Original Muchwezi who's saying a hero is someone who has given his or her life to something bigger than oneself. Okay, all right. Data Care, you are saying this day is meant to recognize those everyday heroes without capes, people that do the extraordinary. Happy Heroes Day. Okay, we do have Zeno Investment saying patriotism is not short, fringed outbursts of emotion, but the tranquil and steady dedication of a lifetime for country. Okay, all right. Kambere Collins, you're saying to mothers and fathers of this nation that work hard to nurture and mold us into responsible citizens, and that citizens that ... Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Colin, for your contribution. And then we continue to look at other reactions there. As we continue on with Morning at NTV, we shall be checking out more of your reactions and who your hero is, or who the true hero in your eyes perspective is this day as we celebrate the 9th of June 2022. Now, away from that conversation into our tech note, we're going to be having a conversation on how collective investment schemes have grown up to 1 trillion Ugandan shillings. Now, that may sound like a lot of money in your ears, but again, it's been a collective effort. The Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, while releasing the performance of the economic report recently, mentioned that funds / assets under management by collective investment schemes had surpassed the 1 trillion Ugandan shillings mark, and that the Minister, Matia Kasaija, placed the figure at Ugandan shillings 1.5 trillions as the end of March 2022. This is a figure that supersedes the third National Development Plan 3, and that is targeting 1 trillion by the year 2025, meaning that if we're in 2022, we do have 2 more years to go to have hit the target. But things have happened faster than expected, but also we do have 3 more years to accumulate more money than the 1 trillion that we have hit. Now, here to speak to us about this is Martin Owiny, who is the resource persons at the Capital Markets Authority. Good morning to you, Martin.
Good morning, Priscilla.
How are you?
Very well, Priscilla.
Before we get into the money, who's your financial hero?
My financial hero, that's a very good one. I must say, when I think about it, I can't think of anybody else but the one who said, if you put away a tenth, he'll rebuke the devourer. Yes. Okay. And that's Jesus Christ.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we want to first get into understanding what is collective investment schemes in Uganda, especially.
Collective investment schemes is, as the word says, a collection of investments. So, for example, you look at the average investment that the average Ugandan understands, walk into a bank and ask for a fixed deposit account. If I already have a savings account, I have a little money I want to put away, I have a little money I want to invest, how do I invest that? I just ask for a fixed deposit account. So if we walked into the bank and you had 10 million and I had 1 million, you would get the higher interest rate, I would get the lower interest rate. Now, what Capital Markets Authority has done is they have regulated fund managers. Now, these fund managers collect investments with the view to say that if you're getting more with your 10 million and I'm getting less with my 1 million, can we all get an equal but good rate? So this fund manager comes and says, I'm going to collect investments that will give you that good rate. Now, that collection currently is taking place in the area of treasury bills and treasury bonds. The collection of treasury bills and treasury bonds are put into a pool. Now, once they're in that pool, the average Ugandan is saying, that pool looks good, but how do I benefit from it? How do I get an opportunity to get a good interest rate better than I'm getting on a fixed deposit account? What those people then do is say, we're going to break this collection of investments into units. Now, those units, come and buy them if you trust us. Now, if you then say, I have 100,000, I have 1 million, with my 100,000, I'm going to buy a unit. Now, in buying that unit, given that it's a collection of government securities, treasury bills and bonds, I'm able to get a return. And that return currently is in the range of 10 to 11%. So they've collected into a scheme, treasury bills and bonds. Why? To give me a better return that I would get than on average.
Okay.
That's a collective investment scheme.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Martin, for giving us the perspective to it. Now, between the Ministry of Finance and you as a regulator of capital markets, promoting and regulating markets here, we get to see that there was a target of 1 trillion to be targeted up to 2025. However, before we get into 2025, this target has already been achieved under the National Development Plan 3, which means that there's some good things that have happened even amidst the economic crisis, amidst the global pandemic that did shake tables, especially as far as the economy is concerned. What does this mean to you as the regulator?
What this actually means is we have only touched the tip of the iceberg. I think what COVID-19 brought in is the whole aspect of a dead investment. What do I mean by a dead investment? I want to make an investment. And if I am going to make an investment, I want a good return. Now, if I'm going to make an investment that gives me a return of 8%, 7%, 6%, and I can actually get a better return by taking my money and putting it into a collective investment scheme and get 10%. Then if I go for my 6%, when there's an alternative of a 10%, this is actually a dead investment. So what actually happened is the eyes of Ugandans during the lockdown opened because the options were limited. Where can I put my money so that I don't get a dead investment? And that was the collective investment scheme. Now, this now presents an opportunity because Ugandans are now beginning to understand, yes, if I have some money, as little as 100,000, as high as 100 million or more, where am I going to put the money? Let me not put it into a dead investment. Let me put it into a collective investment scheme. Now, why do I say we've touched the tip of the iceberg? Because only 32,000 Ugandans are participating in collective investment schemes. They're the ones who've driven...
But which is an increment from last year where you did have about 29,000.
Exactly,
yeah.
Yes. So what we're actually seeing is there's an awareness coming and people are beginning to say, in addition to whatever I'm doing, don't keep all my eggs in one basket. Let me also go for collective investment schemes, unit trusts.
So in the midst of realization of dead investments, as you've called them, what have been the enhancers or the boosters of Ugandans to actually then tap into the collective investment schemes available in the market?
I think one of the major boosters has been an understanding of the average person who's saying, I have some money, I've got nowhere to put it, or I'm looking for where to put it.
Oh, I can't trust the available
yes, I can't trust the available avenues, or the available avenues are not giving me what I'm looking for. Now, that in essence presents an opportunity to say, what's the alternative? The one alternative that came out and said, look, here's a return that's attractive. You get the idea. Recently, I visited somebody and they showed me property, high-end property somewhere in Kololo, and the return was 8%. And yet the collective investment scheme is giving you 10%. So would I go for the 8 or I'll go for the 10? That's been a major booster. So that opportunity to say, here is a collective investment scheme that has collected investments, put them into a basket, divided them into a unit, and if you trust me, buy my unit. Yes, I'll buy your unit because the return is attractive. That's a major booster.
Okay, all right. You've talked about property. What are some of the different types of CIS or funds that actually Ugandans can invest in right now?
Currently, what we are having is an opportunity to invest in the treasury bill and the treasury bond, and that is called an umbrella retirement, an umbrella collective investment scheme, unit trust. What actually happens here is, when you look at the Treasury bill today, the rate is in the range of 6 to 9%. When you look at the Treasury bond, the rate is in the range of 9 to 14%. Now, these come to the market every 2 weeks. The average Ugandan has no idea which week we're in. Is it the week of the auction? Is it next week? Which week are we in? Now, Capital Markets Authority then says, look, we've licensed fund managers. These fund managers will buy these securities for you. They will put them into a pool, divide them into units, and sell them to you. So number one is the umbrella unit trust fund that actually amalgamates the Treasury bill with the Treasury bond to give you a return of 10 to 11%. The umbrella unit trust fund. Two, you also find there's the money market unit trust fund. So the money market unit trust fund is in essence saying, look, for us we go for short-term investments. We're not so concerned about the long term. We're more into Treasury bills, fixed deposit accounts, but still collecting them into a scheme that gives you an attractive return in the range of 9 to 10%. Then there's the balanced unit trust fund. Now that one says, look, there are people who are thinking long term, and in the long term, traditionally, shares give me a higher return than bills and bonds and fixed deposit accounts in the long term. So how do I get some shares?
What's the consideration of long term here?
5 years and above.
Okay.
Yeah. So how do I get into a situation where I can get some shares into my investment? The balanced fund, it says I'll balance a bit of Treasury bills and bonds with shares, and I'll give you a balanced unit trust fund. Most popular now is the umbrella unit trust fund.
Okay, all right. And then now, of course, you've tickled our viewers,
Yes.
you know, sense and information that you have shared with them.
Yeah.
And so, what are the advantages of actually participating in any of these three that you have mentioned?
The advantage is, number one, as I said, if you walked in with 10, I walked in with 1 million, you walked in with 10, you get the better rate. Everybody gets an equal rate. Number two, when I invest, I may want my money in the middle of an investment. So if I'm told that, no, when you brought your money here, you must leave it here for 6 months.
You might want to withdraw your money
Exactly,
in the middle
of your projected tenure of investment.
Yeah.
Now, here what happens is you just give a 48-hour notice. And you say, that money I put there, I need some of it, or I need all of it, or I need part of it. You get the idea. You're not locked in. That, in essence, gives you the flexibility to say, I can put my money for whatever period I want and have it whenever I want, because 48 hours later, it will be back on your account.
But not all the money. It comes with a deduction cost, of course.
It actually comes with the opportunity to earn interest on a daily basis. Yeah, so that's another key advantage. So what you're looking for here is, yes, there will be the opportunity for the fund manager to say, look, I've given you a charge, X amount, but because of the benefit of a daily rate, we call that interest upon interest, because every day, whatever came today, will earn interest tomorrow. They call that compounding in the economic world. So you actually have the opportunity to compound your interest, and because of that, whatever time you say, give me back my money, you get your money. Okay. With interest.
All right.
Not with charges.
Okay, all right. So, Marty, then this raises the question, yes, you've talked about the advantages, but I'm pretty sure there's downsides to actually participating in collective investment schemes. Definitely.
First of all, there's a charge. So if you're going to invest, you shouldn't be in a position where you're saying, I'm putting in my money today and tomorrow I want it. Give it time to actually accumulate in value. Number two, you're also coming into a situation where you're losing control over money that has been in your hand. You get the idea. People like to feel money under their mattress and say it's still there.
Yeah.
Now you're actually saying that I'm trusting.
You're forfeiting your money until further notice,
yes,
depending on the period that you've signed up for.
And you're trusting somebody else to be able to
manage it,
accumulate an interest on that money for you. Yes, but the key advantage here is that it's a regulated industry. Capital Markets Authority, enacted by an act of parliament in 1998. So this is a government agency where you can even see the minister saying, you guys have done so well, you've actually hit a 2025 target in 2022.
Okay, all right, so then the next question for me would be, who can actually invest in these collective investment schemes and how do they get to do that?
Very good, Priscilla. Who can invest in a collective investment scheme? Key is an individual. All you need is your national ID and a passport photo. A circle, an investment club, a family. You know, some families get money and they're like, where do we put this money? All you need is a legal entity which you take to a collective investment scheme manager. Who are these managers? Britam Asset Management, UAP Financial Services, Zeno. All these people, you can actually go to them and say, look, I'm interested in a collective investment scheme unit trust, and I have my money and I have my legal documentation, and you can actually then open a collective investment scheme account. The key thing here is you still need a commercial bank account, because your money moves from your commercial bank account to your collective investment scheme account, and anytime you say give it to me in whole or part, you'll get it within 48 hours. Okay,
all right, so you do have the licensed CSI managers. Now how do people get in touch to be able to then participate actively in accumulating their wealth?
One, they can go to the Capital Markets Authority website. They can go to some of the names I mentioned, Britam, UAP, ICA. All these have collective investment schemes. Should anybody wish to call me or to WhatsApp me, I'm available on 077-22-16290 or 0757-216-290.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Martin. He has mentioned something that has caught my attention, dead investment, which is something that Ugandans have been putting a lot of their money into. But now if you can make alive investments or collective investment schemes, join them, you'll be able to actually save for the long term, but more so invest your money to be able to work for you while you're working on something else. That's